Cold plunging, saunas, supplements, peptides, red light therapy, and all sorts of different biohacking gadgets. It seems that we have created this modern health culture that is absolutely filled with people trying to optimize their physiology. And honestly, I get it. I've done videos on many of the topics that I just mentioned, and I participate in some of those things myself. And some of them can absolutely have legitimate benefits in certain situations. But over the past several years of working with patients, teaching anatomy and physiology, reading research, and discussing health with many different people, we started noticing something that feels a little backwards. Because while many people are obsessing over health optimization with things like cold plunges, saunas, certain supplements, etc., some are also sleeping 5 hours a night, barely exercising, eating highly processed foods, living under chronic stress, and avoiding basic preventative health care. And physiologically speaking, that's kind of like stepping over a $20 bill to pick up a $1 bill. Because the reality is that the biggest long-term health outcomes are still overwhelmingly driven by a handful of foundational health principles that humans have known about for a very long time. And after discussing this concept as a team, we eventually started thinking about these behaviors as the 5 foundations, or the 5 pillars of health, if you will. So today, we're going to discuss what those foundations are, or in other words, what are the 5 most important things you can do for your health, why they matter so much physiologically, and why modern health culture sometimes distracts us from the most important things we should be focusing on. It's going to be a foundational one. So let's jump right into this anatomical and physiological awesomeness. Now, before we discuss these 5 pillars individually, I think it's important to acknowledge that this idea of health optimization can be super exciting. Buying a supplement feels productive. Using a recovery gadget seems like fun. Doing a cold plunge makes you feel like a Norwegian warrior. And again, I get it. I enjoy some of these things myself, and I've made videos on many of these topics. But one thing I started thinking about more and more over time was, I hope I'm not putting off the vibe that these are the most important things that you can do for your health. Because I would never go up to one of my patients and say, hey, before you focus on consistent sleep, exercising regularly, improving your diet, or managing stress, you should probably start cold plunging. And that's because things like cold plunging, saunas, supplements, and recovery gadgets are probably better viewed as the icing on the cake after you've built a strong physiological foundation first. Because the truth is that many of the most important health behaviors are kind of boring and don't feel particularly dramatic in the moment. A consistent workout routine and sleep schedule doesn't feel as exciting as some new optimization trend that you see online. But physiologically, those foundational behaviors are often producing much larger long-term effects. And this is where I think this modern health culture can sometimes become a little distorted, because people start searching for advanced optimization strategies before they've built this strong physiological foundation that they need in the first place. So let's finally get into these 5 most important foundations, or these 5 pillars of health. Now, if I had to pick the one foundational behavior that influences the greatest number of organ systems simultaneously, exercise would be at the top of the list, because movement affects almost everything. Your cardiovascular system, metabolic health, muscles, bones, other connective tissues, brain function, insulin sensitivity, and even long-term mortality risk can all be influenced by physical activity. Humans are physiologically designed to move. And one of the biggest problems with modern lifestyles is that most of us move a lot less than humans ever have before. We sit in cars, sit at desks, stare at screens, then go home and sit even more. Now, importantly, exercise does not mean that you have to become an elite athlete, but consistently moving your body matters tremendously. And consistently is the most important part here. Some people may disagree with me on this because there are some exceptions, but consistency beats programming almost every single time. And what I mean by that is that some people will get so hung up on the perfect workout routine or the perfect resistance training split, and they get this paralysis by analysis, or they keep changing their routine before they even consistently settle into one. But almost every single person out there could pick 2 to 3 cardio days a week and 2 to 3 resistance training days a week, and if you remain consistent with those days and just applied the principle of progressive overload by either adding more weight or reps as you got stronger, and added more miles or time, or increased the pace with your cardio as you got more fit, you would be able to progress your fitness for a very long time with that basic programming. It doesn't have to be as complicated as, say, learning the steps of glycolysis. Just keep it simple. Now, if you're new to our channel, We do have a ton of exercise-related videos that you can easily search for on our main channel page for even more information and details about resistance training and cardio. But we will also link our free workout chart below that is founded on many of the principles that we've just discussed. Now, the second pillar is diet. Probably not a big shocker there, but it may be one of the most confusing and most debated topics in health discussions. You can get people really fired up when you start talking about one diet being better than the other. Like, put a carnivore person and a vegan person in the same room together, and it will make Batman and the Joker look like they're best friends. But, all joking aside, diet really can be confusing. There's keto, carnivore, high carb, high fat, low fat, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, and then on top of that, we have intermittent fasting. So, how do we make sense of all this? Well, this part might be the most controversial thing I'll say in this video, although it really shouldn't be because this statement is true and supported by the scientific evidence. There is not one perfect diet. You can absolutely be healthy following many of the diets that I just mentioned. Now, some diets may make it easier or harder to obtain certain nutrients, and some of the more restrictive diets may increase the risk of certain nutrient deficiencies if they aren't planned for carefully. But even then, many of those issues can often be addressed through specific food choices or supplementation. So rather than getting caught up in diet tribes and arguing over which dietary approach is perfect, I think it is much more useful to focus on a few basic principles that are fairly universal when it comes to nutrition. First, the majority of your diet should come from minimally processed foods, or in other words, come from whole food sources when possible. Fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, dairy products, eggs, fish, and meats have been nourishing humans for a very long time. Because one of the remarkable things about humans is that we are highly adaptable omnivores capable of thriving on a wide variety of foods. Now, this does not mean you can't ever eat a cookie again or that you have to completely eliminate every processed food from your life. But as a general rule, the majority of your calories should probably come from foods that are closer to their natural state. Personally, I try to follow something close to an 80-20 rule, where about 80% of my food comes from relatively clean whole food sources, and then with the other 20%, I relax a little bit and pound that cheesecake. Now, secondly, your body needs an appropriate balance of nutrients. Protein provides amino acids that help build and repair tissues. Fats play important roles in hormone production, cell membranes, energy storage, and serve as a major fuel source. Carbohydrates are also a major fuel source, particularly for the brain and physically active tissue such as muscle tissue. Then of course, we also need vitamins, minerals, water, and fiber to support countless physiological processes throughout the body. Now, the exact proportions of the macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, can vary from person to person, and much of this is actually influenced by the first pillar that we talked about, which was physical activity and exercise. If you do a lot of resistance training and want to maintain or build muscle, protein intake is probably going to need to go up. The same thing is often true for carbohydrates. Athletes participating in high-intensity sports and activities will generally require more carbohydrates to support performance. But no matter what proportions of the macronutrients you ultimately land on, they all contain a certain amount of calories, which brings us to our next basic principle of nutrition, caloric intake. Calories still do matter, and this is another topic that can get people a little fired up. But whether you're following keto, vegan, carnivore, Mediterranean, or almost any other dietary approach, calories never completely disappear from the equation. From a physiological perspective, energy balance is incredibly important. If you consistently consume more energy than your body uses, you will generally gain weight over time. If you consistently consume less energy than your body uses, you will generally lose weight over time. Now, there are certainly factors that can influence appetite, metabolism, food choices, and how easy or difficult this process feels, but the underlying principle of energy balance still remains incredibly important. So when it comes to diet, instead of asking, what is the perfect diet, I think a better question is, am I consistently following the basic principles of good nutrition? Because just like exercise, people can sometimes spend so much time worrying about the details that they lose sight of the fundamentals. So before we keep going, I want to tell you about something that we've been building for the Institute of Human Anatomy community, and that is Clarity by IOHA. If you watch this channel, you already know that your body is not random. The way you sleep, eat, exercise, recover, think, manage stress, and keep up with basic health maintenance all affects the anatomy and physiology that we talk about every day. The problem is that most people will learn the science, get inspired for a moment, but then often get confused or overwhelmed about how to apply it to daily life, and then go right back to the same habits. And this is exactly why we created Clarity. Clarity is a science-backed life tracking app from the Institute of Human Anatomy that helps you build habits around 5 interconnected pillars of health: exercise, diet, and spoiler alert for the next 3, mental health, sleep, and health maintenance. Instead of just checking off random tasks, every habit you complete strengthens a specific pillar, earns experience points, and helps you see which parts of your foundation are thriving, stable, or need more attention. You can also follow IOHA-developed protocols and use insights and the AI coach to better understand your patterns over time. Think of it as taking the science you learn here and putting it into your pocket so you can do something useful with it every single day. And to be clear, this is not meant to replace medical care or your own judgment. The goal is much simpler than that, to help make the foundational behaviors easier to organize, easier to repeat, and easier to connect back to the anatomy and physiology. So if you want to be part of the first group using Clarity, we'll have a link below where you can join for early access. We're building this with the IOHA community, so your feedback will genuinely help shape where this app goes next. And now, let's get back to the video. Now, the third pillar is mental health. And unfortunately, mental health conditions appear to be increasingly more common. Yet despite that, I still think people sometimes underestimate how important mental health really is, because it is often discussed as though it exists separately from physical health. But anatomically and physiologically speaking, it's not like your brain isn't part of your body. Just think about how powerful some of your thoughts and emotions really are. That person that you've had a crush on for years walks into the room and your brain immediately sends signals out to your sweat glands, your heart, blood vessels, and potentially even to erectile tissue structures. Thoughts and emotions of sadness, anxiety, and stress are no different. The brain and nervous system can send out chronic physiological stress signals that influence sleep quality, hormone regulation, appetite, energy levels, cardiovascular health, immune function, and even inflammation. So again, mental health doesn't just stay in your head. It can influence the rest of your body. And that's exactly why mental health belongs on this list. Now, obviously, mental health is incredibly complex, and different people may require different forms of support. For some people, that may involve improving sleep, exercise, social connection, or stress management. For others, it may involve counseling, therapy, medication, or other interventions. But on the flip side, poor mental health can also make the other pillars much harder to maintain. People often sleep worse, eat worse, exercise less, and neglect healthcare when stress becomes overwhelming. So while exercise and nutrition often get most of the attention, don't underestimate the importance of taking care of the organ that is making all of your decisions in the first place. Because at the end of the day, your brain is the organ deciding whether you're going to exercise, eat well, get enough sleep, and stay on top of your health maintenance. Now, the fourth pillar is sleep. And I think one of the strangest things about sleep is that it's one of the few health behaviors people will sometimes almost brag about being bad at. You'll hear people say things like, "I only got 4 hours of sleep last night," "I've been running on caffeine all week," or "I'll sleep when I'm dead." And for some reason, we've almost turned sleep deprivation into a badge of honor. But your body does an enormous amount of maintenance and regulation during sleep. Sleep influences memory consolidation, recovery, hormone regulation, immune function, metabolic health, mood, cognitive performance, and of course, energy levels. And I think most people have experienced this firsthand. You can often get away with 1 or 2 poor nights of sleep and may only feel a little tired, but after several poor nights of sleep, many people start to notice those changes in mood, focus, motivation, recovery, appetite, and overall performance. Now, obviously, life isn't perfect. Some people work night shifts, some people have young children, some people have medical conditions that affect sleep. But for many people, sleep isn't being limited by your physiology. It's being limited by priorities. And if there's one thing I would encourage people to stop doing, it would be treating sleep like it's optional, because it isn't. Sleep is one of the primary maintenance and recovery processes built into the human body. And just like mental health can influence the other pillars, poor sleep does as well. People tend to make worse dietary choices, recover less effectively from exercise, experience more stress, and often have less motivation to engage in healthy behaviors when they are chronically sleep deprived. So while sleep may not be the most exciting topic in health, it definitely is one of the most impactful. Now, the final pillar of health is one that gets overlooked all the time, and that is health maintenance. But what do I mean by health maintenance? Well, I'm talking about staying on top of recommended screenings, monitoring important health metrics, and properly managing any health conditions you may already have. And let me put it this way, I can't tell you how many times I've had a patient, or even someone I personally know, end up with a health problem that could have been prevented or lessened in severity had they been checking and following up with certain health metrics years earlier. I'm talking about some of the boring stuff, like blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, appropriate cancer screenings, all the stuff that typically happens during your annual physicals. This is important because conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, and elevated cholesterol can quietly develop for years before causing obvious symptoms. Yet all three can significantly increase the risk of serious health problems later in life. However, when you stay on top of your health maintenance through annual physicals and recommended screenings, it becomes much easier to identify, manage, and sometimes even prevent these conditions before they become bigger problems. So know your blood pressure, know your blood sugar levels, know your lipid or cholesterol profile, as well as other metabolic numbers that you typically get from an annual physical. And if you do already have a certain health condition, that doesn't mean you're doomed or have to succumb to that condition. Quite the opposite. Let's manage it the best we can by following through with the first 4 pillars of health that we already talked about, as well as with any other appropriate medical interventions. And interestingly enough, many people can tell you almost every ingredient in their supplement stack, yet have no idea what their blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood sugar levels actually are. So let's try to stop stepping over those $20 bills to pick up those $1 bills. But again, bringing this full circle, I'm not saying things like saunas, cold plunges, supplements, or other optimization strategies are useless, because some of them can absolutely have some legitimate benefits depending on the context. But the point of today's video is to avoid focusing on those things before building a strong physiological foundation first. Because when we kept asking ourselves what actually matters most for long-term human health, we kept coming back to the same foundational physiological behaviors over and over again. Exercise, diet, mental health, sleep, and health maintenance. Not because they're trendy, not because they're super exciting all the time, but because they influence human health and physiology at the deepest and broadest levels. And that is again why, as I mentioned earlier with my shameless self-sponsor plug, we built Clarity by IOHA around this exact 5-pillar framework. The goal is not perfection, and it is not replacing medical care or your own judgment. The goal is to help make these foundational behaviors easier to organize, easier to repeat, and easier to connect back to the anatomy and physiology. Because once the foundation is strong, then maybe the icing on the cake can actually matter a little bit more. So if you want to check out Clarity or be part of the first group helping us shape it, we've got that link down below. And with that said, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel, everyone. It means so much to everyone here at IOHA. I wish sometimes I could bring everybody who's part of the team on screen so you could meet them, and maybe we'll do that sometime. But of course, we'll see you guys all in the next video.